Welcome to Psychology Refresh. Today we're going to go over the 7 parenting mistakes that could mess you up. Make sure to watch each one of them because your parents could make those mistakes. Let's face it, there are no perfect parents. We all have flaws and have a tendency to make mistakes. Good parents take care of their child, try their best, and look for help when they need it. While there is no one-size-fits-all approach to parenting because each child and family is unique, there are several habits that parents may and should seek to avoid. Unfortunately, parents are not always the greatest decision-makers, and the choices they make when raising their children might leave them traumatized. Sometimes these errors are genuine unintentional mistakes made because they don't know any better, while other times they are purposeful. Whatever the case, the end result is frequently the same: an unhappy youngster who carries their grief into adulthood. Find out if your parents have made any mistakes that could have ruined your life. Here are 7 parenting mistakes that could mess you up. Number 1. Emotional neglecting. Emotional neglect occurs when a parent fails to respond appropriately to their child's emotional needs. It differs from emotional abuse in that ignoring emotional needs may not be done on purpose, and neglected children may have all of their basic needs met, such as food, shelter, and healthcare. Their parents, on the other hand, can be cold and inattentive when it comes to their emotions. Rather than offering children guidance and consolation, their parents advise them to disregard their difficulties and stop talking about them. They fail to recognize their child's emotional needs and instead leave them to deal with their own difficulties without even listening to them as time passes on. Those children may stop seeking advice and bury their issues even more. Cognitive deficits, low self-esteem, and withdrawal from friends and hobbies are all possible outcomes. They may develop post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, psychological unavailability, and trust issues as adults as a result of this parenting mistake. Number 2. Arguing in front of you. When you were a kid, do you recall your parents arguing in front of you? Unfortunately, many of us fall into this category. Fighting is a normal and healthy part of every relationship, but it may quickly escalate into a full-fledged fight with yelling, name-calling, and even violent acts such as throwing or smashing things. It's much worse when parents choose to ignore or listen to a child standing in front of them or hearing things through the walls or their bedroom. The harmful impacts of a parent's conflict can affect children as young as 6 months old, according to a study from the University of Oregon. Negative effects, unfortunately, extend from childhood to adolescence. Listening or watching your parents argue can generate insecurities, harm family relationships, and create a stressful situation in which you have little chances to grow up happily. When you do grow up, you will still be dealing with the long-term ramifications of the trauma you experienced. Additionally, due to this common parenting mistake, you have a higher risk of depression and anxiety, more difficulty controlling your attention and emotions, and you are prone to have dysfunctional relationships and attachment issues, as well as physical issues such as sleeping or eating difficulties. Number 3. Requiring perfection. This is also a very common parenting mistake, especially among families with successful lifestyles. Rather than seeing everything your child does as wonderful, this parent sees everything they do as inadequate. Parents that are stuck in this unsuccessful parenting method realize that their children have amazing abilities. All they need to do is work harder to develop them. So, what makes you think that would be ineffective? Because the perfectionist parent could instill in you the expectation of failure. Why would you even attempt if you will never be able to meet your parents' lofty expectations? When a child succeeds, the perfectionist parent will frequently increase the bar, suggesting that their child can do even better next time. Perfectionist parents often believe that they have such a good understanding of their children that they know exactly what they're thinking. They frequently anticipate the worst, sense their child's apparently negative attitude even before the child speaks. Why isn't this working? Unfortunately, if your parents did it to you, they were teaching you to hide your emotions and keep achievements to yourself. They basically trained you to never be happy from your actions and hence impeding you from realizing your full potential. If you are enjoying our content, please give this video a like, subscribe to our channel, and do not forget to turn on the notification bell. Number 4. Not leading by example. A parent may have the best guidance in the world for their children, tips on how to treat others, advice on how to act when they're in difficulties, or sincere warnings to stay away from troubles. However, it is ineffective if parents simply instruct their children to do these things rather than demonstrating it via their own actions. Quote, "All too often, parents tell their kids what to do instead of modeling the behavior," says Dr. Rochelle Whitaker, an educational psychologist, mental health therapist, and parent educator. Unfortunately, kids tend to mirror their parents' behavior more than they listen to what they tell them. If your parents made the mistake, you can have problems with building healthy, wholesome relationships, solving your problems, and getting yourself into trouble. Number 5. Projecting their goals onto you. Parents usually want the best for their children, but they may lose sight of the fact that what best means to them may not be the same as what best means to their children. Parents can push their children to pursue the things that they wish they had done as children, whether it's professional goals, sports and extracurricular activities, or social relationships, rather than allowing their children to figure out their own goals. Quote, "Often we start thinking about our kids as our second chance to succeed in accomplishing those goals," says Lucia Giovannini, a doctor of psychology. If your parents were projecting their goals onto you, you probably felt torn between what you would like to do and what your parents want you to do. This indecisiveness could lead to future lack of confidence and low self-esteem. Number 6. Using physical punishment. On how many occasions have you heard a parent say that they spank, pull their children's ears, hit them with a belt, or throw items at them to discipline them? And how many times have you heard mature individuals tell you about how they were physically punished as children and grew up to be successful adults? Perhaps they believe they turned out all right, but this is not the case for many people who continue to suffer the effects of physical punishment. Children's psychologists strongly advise against any form of physical punishment, regardless of the situation. The American Academy of Pediatrics (AARP) advises parents and caregivers to use appropriate forms of discipline instead of physical punishment. According to studies, any form of physical punishment is unsuccessful in the long run and may exacerbate the problem, harm the children's bond with his or her parents, and encourage aggressive behavior. Number 7. Not giving you enough freedom. Personal independence, like most things, becomes simpler to manage when it comes along with practice. As a result, it's critical to give youngsters more freedom as they get older. Quote, "While it's understandable that at an early age you would set boundaries, it's important to let those boundaries expand over time," says Dr. Vinay Saranya, a child psychiatrist. Despite the fact that this may initially cause fear for both parties, letting children, quote, "slowly build their independence" is more effective than forcing them to learn it all at once in their adulthood. This is a very common parenting mistake that could mess you up because you will not be able to make important decisions on your own because you were dependent on your parents for your whole life. These videos will be really helpful for you.